Welcome once again to Chelan County Connection. I'm your host, Randy Rhodes. Today, Chelan County Commissioner Kevin Overbay. Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Randy?
Fantastic. Loving the fall, but missing summer. How about you?
Oh, I absolutely love fall. It is my favorite time of the year, so it has been fantastic.
And how was your summer? Did you get a lot of softball games in?
No softball this summer. I actually played in the spring, took a line shot, actually had fractured my foot, and so I was out for the rest of the season. So didn't get a lot of softball in.
Well, I know that's a passion of yours, so we wish you the best for next season.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Say, Kevin, last week the Board of County Commissioners passed a new code section, I believe it's called, making it illegal to camp on county owned property. Now, this is something the county's been working on for several weeks now. First of all, how did it come about? And can you explain the new code section for us?
Yeah, absolutely. And really, it's not just about camping. It's really any unauthorized use of county-owned property. Camping just happens to be one of the things that kind of seems to fall, kind of to the top of the list, so to speak. Really, it's about nuisance. It's about other things, but it comes about. As you know, there's been a couple of court cases with regards to encampments that both city agencies and counties have been facing. The first one was basically Martin versus Boise, which allowed for folks, unless you had a low barrier shelter, to be able to camp in parks, to be able to camp on public properties, things like that, or to be able to stay there and sleep in those areas. And that was actually overturned by the most recent one, which was Grants Pass versus Johnson. And that case, of course, went to the Supreme Court, was decided in July. And so we had a conversation with our prosecuting attorney's office, and that basically started the ball rolling on development of a code. And the code was actually developed over a few weeks. We actually brought in folks from different departments, our community services and housing department, our public works, prosecuting attorney's office, our community development, our sheriff's office, and really got feedback on the code. But the code is just one part of the whole story. But realistically, what the code says is that it provides our sheriff's office an opportunity to contact people that are on county-owned properties, ask them to leave, give them 24 hours notice opportunity to vacate the property, to take their belongings off of the property. And then basically, after that 24-hour period, they can be trespassed from the property. The idea is not to criminalize homelessness or to criminalize anybody's use of the property. It's to really just get compliance with unauthorized uses of the property from any individual who basically seems to be on county-owned properties. For purposes that really are not authorized for county purposes or for the general public as a whole.
Let's define county property.
Yeah, it's really any properties that are owned or managed by the county for the purposes of providing services to the citizens. It could be vacant properties that maybe have no intrinsic use today, but could potentially have uses down the road, whether it be for roadway uses or other county functions. It could actually even be our campus here on Washington Street, the county courthouse. So it's really any county properties that are owned or operated or managed by the county. So if we're under contract with another entity to manage their properties, it would be applicable to those as well.
Commissioner Overbay, can you kind of go through the steps that would be followed if a code enforcement or the sheriff's office identify a homeless encampment that's on county property?
Absolutely. So we are actually working through that right now. So our code is very specific. It talks about the use of the property. It talks about the penalty, what would happen if somebody fails to leave. But really, we're working through the nuances. And again, similar folks in the room, our behavioral health unit is a part of this conversation as well. But we're really talking about this really is an opportunity for us, if there's an encampment, for us to have face-to-face contact with folks that may need to have services provided to them, that maybe don't know about services or have not taken services that they've known about in the past, but maybe now is the time for them to be able to utilize those services. So really, we're putting the finishing touches on that. We have another session next week that we're doing, a work session, or actually, excuse me, 2 weeks from now that we're doing, and we'll be kind of finishing that up. But I'll kind of talk a little bit about a few elements that are in that. It basically gives timeframes. So we have between 24 and 72 hours to actually clean up the encampment area. And so we give our 24-hour notice. We'll either return within 24 hours or a little bit further after that. Law enforcement will be a part of that just for safety and security. But we will potentially be utilizing folks that are identified within the county family here from other departments, whether it's our Public Works Department through solid waste, whether it is our Community Services and Housing Department that would actually be able to provide assistance either through coordinated entry or through our third-party contracts that we have with our vendors, such as like a Women's Resource Center or a Community Action Council, food security elements, things like that, to be able to have an opportunity to provide those folks that are being contacted the warm handoff to those services, really, that are available in our community. So realistically, as a last resort, there is a element to this that somebody could be cited if they refuse to leave in the time frame that's given to them, if they continue to stay, or if they return. And our code basically allows for an individual to be trespassed from the property with a written notice to not return for up to 5 years. They cannot come back to the property, utilize that property if given that notice. But there also is due process for them. If they don't feel that the officer was justified that gave them notice, they can actually file an appeal to an examiner, a hearing examiner, to be able to take a look at that there was probable cause for that person to be trespassed from the property. So we're trying to build in every opportunity for folks to voluntarily cooperate. But also build an opportunity so there's a due process both in the asking of the individual and the written notice to that individual, but also if in fact the person is trespassed, then we have our court system with regards that would be able to go through that due process. If found guilty of a trespass, they could hold a penalty of up to 90 days in jail and $1,000 fine. Our hope is that that never has to be imposed. But there again, gives us an opportunity to really find proper placement and give these individuals that are maybe put in these positions an opportunity to get themselves out of the position through volunteer efforts to take advantage of the services that we have in our community.
Kevin, what about the cleanup if you find a site?
So the cleanup comes under our solid waste, and we have actually had conversation with Douglas County. Douglas County is our partner with regards to our homeless housing dollars, and we commingle our funds to provide housing services, both temporary, permanent housing, permanent supportive housing, shelter spaces, and other outreach. And so they have actually agreed, because they have expertise. They've done a lot of cleanup encampments over the last few years. They have expertise in that they have agreed to come alongside us and assist us with doing the cleanup. Now, there's going to be funding that we'll be making available to do that, but they really have a procedure that they utilize and have all the necessary equipment to do so. So we'll be looking at partnering with our neighboring county, Douglas County, to carry that out.
It didn't dawn on me until just a few minutes ago, but our director, Jill, pointed out to me it's election day today.
It is.
Do you recall the first president you remember voting for?
Well, I actually do. It was the Bush-Dukakis race. And so I was not able to vote until I was 20 because I turned 18 in a midterm. So there was no presidential year. So I was actually able to vote in the midterm. But for the first presidential race, it was actually 1988. And I will tell you that it was George H.W. Bush was my pick in 1988 and successfully won.
And talking about elections, you've been through three of them now yourself. Do you have any, traditions or rituals on election day or election night?
This is actually my third one, and I will tell you that I have been very blessed to be able to be a county commissioner and serve the citizens of Chelan County. But for me, it's actually time with my wife and my family. Usually we'll have dinner. And then more than likely at 8 o'clock, you will see me at the elections office, because I want to be one of the first ones that Skip hands the written document out that's printed out with the election results. And so I've been very fortunate to, to serve the citizens, and very humbled.
Well, I'll tell you, it's awfully great to see you again. It's been a minute or two.
Yeah, it has definitely been a minute since you and I have had a chance to talk.
Hey, did you have any closing thoughts on our topic today?
I think that what we're really attempting to do is we're really attempting to be to protect county properties, but also to provide dignity and respect to the individuals that may be utilizing them in an unauthorized manner, to provide those levels of service. And we're really trying to do our due diligence to make sure that we cover all the spectrum on that. And so I think that we have a good code. I think that our policy that we're creating for the implementation of that code, and taking the necessary time, heeding the information that was provided to us by citizens who gave public testimony on the code, to make sure that we answer those concerns that they have in our policy. I just think that that's just good business, and an open, transparent way of carrying out the people's will.
Chelan County Commissioner Kevin Overbay, thanks for joining us on Chelan County Connection.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it.